Africa, the mother of all continents.
A land brimming with human, material, and natural resources.
Bedeviled by challenged leadership, socio-economic instability, and war.
In the midst of the chaos, there exists a group of individuals and organizations working to rewrite this narrative.
Non-profits and non-governmental organizations, bridging the gap of human existence.
Telling stories about the third sector. My name is Kemak Onyenuchea. Join me at 1300 hours West African time every Monday and Thursday on Africa Business Radio as I bring to you the success stories as well as the challenges faced by non-profit organizations in Africa and the individuals who run them. Log on to www.africabusinessradio.com or download the Africa Business Radio app on Google Play Store and Apple Store. The third sector on Africa Business Radio, towards a profitable Africa. Hello, hello, hello. It's another beautiful Monday. And of course, you're tuned into Africa Business Radio, and this is the third sector, the program on Africa Business Radio that brings you in-depth analysis of operations in the non-profit sector in Africa, as well as gives you an expose into the life of the angel humans who run these non-profits. My name, as always, is Kemak Onyenuchea, and I'm so glad to be your host and extremely excited that you have tuned in today. A good number of non-profit organizations engage the space in advocating against domestic, sexual, and gender-based violence. It is a worrisome trend that sexual safety and the moral ethics once held dear by society is becoming too easily crushed by daily news of violations meted out to young children and even adults. Action against sexual violence has taken the front burner at the United Nations with the goal of ending sexual violence in conflict. Through the multifaceted interdisciplinary approach of amplified advocacy, improved coordination, accountability, and support for country efforts, the United Nations Action Against Sexual Violence works to make reality a world devoid of sexual violence, as well as the unquantifiable effects this brings to bear on the lives of individuals, communities, regions, countries, and the world at large. The role of individuals and individual organizations, particularly within the non-profit space, in bringing redress to this melee cannot be overemphasized. And my guest today brings her wealth of experience as a social sector practitioner who is passionately dedicated to ending sexual violence using her experience, her voice, and the powers of her organization, the HeartMinders Initiative. Funke Oguntuga is a growing professional with proven record in establishing and managing healthy relationships amongst young adults. She is a behavioral change therapist and counselor who has used experience and training garnered over the years as an advocate to create a niche for herself as Nigeria's foremost rape recovery expert. A former banker and certified communicator, Funke teaches sex education in secondary schools in Lagos. She currently serves as the executive director of HeartMinders Societal Advancement Initiative, a sexual abuse reference center that provides psychosocial support to rape and gender-based violence survivors. Funke's life aim is to amplify the voices of abuse victims by making visible what has been silenced and invisible, as well as building a sure, safe society where children and youth do not have to take precautionary measures to guard against any form of sexual and gender-based violence. Welcome with me to the third sector, Funke Oguntuga. Woo! I wish you could see her.
Hello.
She's bubbling with life. She's actually dancing on her seat. It's my great pleasure to have you, Funke.
I'm absolutely delighted to be here. Good afternoon.
Thank you so much. Of course, we were co-speakers on a previous platform.
Right.
And right there, I looked at you and I said, this woman has something to say.
Thank you.
And then a few weeks later, I went on your blog on Instagram and I was blown away. For 3 days, I couldn't stop thinking about you and what you probably had to endure, what you had to go through. Funke, let's go back to the very beginning. Okay, first of all, your initiative, your organization is called the HeartMinders.
Yes.
Can you tell us the idea behind the name HeartMinders?
Okay, so I started out after my 11-year sojourn in the banking industry, and I just wanted to do something in the area of my first love, because I'm a trained communicator, I'm a journalist by training. And then I said, I could just go back and start writing and freelance, even if they're not paying me. I think I'll be a lot better than sitting in the four corners of one wall and be counting money that is on my own.
Right.
And then I started writing. I'll sit at home and write. And then it keeps coming to me that I could actually write about relationship, about safe dating. And then the questions that were coming back to me were questions that they were bigger than me at that time, because I see teenagers asking me, what if it's your parent that introduced you to sex? What if, like, wait.
Right. Mind-boggling question.
Yes. Like, I have this experience, but it wasn't my parent.
Right.
It wasn't my parent, but I had this experience at a time nobody was listening to me. So I think that, is this thing this bad? And then I started looking at books and going online and reading about rape and sexual abuse, and I found out that it was actually a menace.
Wow.
And then I began to use that HeartMinders blog to reach out to people. And then I found out that more than reaching out to people and having, because like they say, if you want an African man not to say anything, put it
in the book.
In the book. So nobody was reading to understand what I wanted to pass. But people were reading to just want to know about sex.
Right.
And then so I took the next initiative.
Which is not exactly bad.
No,
or
it wasn't.
Wrong.
No, it's not bad. Sorry. Then I said, okay.
Africa, the mother of all continents.
A land brimming with human, material, and natural resources.
Bedeviled by challenged leadership, socio-economic instability, and war.
In the midst of the chaos, there exists a group of individuals and organizations working to rewrite this narrative.
Non-profits and non-governmental organizations, bridging the gap of human existence. Telling stories about the third sector.
You're welcome back. It's still the third sector on Africa Business Radio, and my name is Kemak Onyenucheya. I do apologize for that break in transmission. And of course, I still have with me in the studio Funke Oguntuga, the Executive Director of the HeartMinders Initiative. And just before we went on that forced break, you were trying to explain to us the reason
behind the name
and how your blog was engaged in. Yeah, so...
Okay, so, and then I found out that people were asking me questions. They were bordering on the things that was my experience that I never spoke about. Okay, so I said, okay. I started reading and talking to people and knowing more about rape and sexual abuse. And I found out that, wow, this is actually I'm not the only one. There are quite a number of people. And then I started HeartMinders Initiative, which actually are two words about the heart and then minding the heart. So I found out that even in school, the things that we were taught, they are not things that can deal with the practicality of rape and sexual abuse.
Wow.
The first case I handled that HeartMinders was not even registered then was a father that was sleeping with a 9-year-old daughter.
Oh my word.
And in that situation, I found out that the girl was made to stay at home and couldn't go to school because the father needs to satisfy himself.
Oh my word.
And in all of this, we made sure the girl left the house. We saved the girl, put the girl in school. The man went, picked the girl from the school, and up till today, we don't know where the girl is. Which made me finally know that a structure had to be in place. There has to be someone bigger than an individual to fight this cause.
Right.
And then I begin to see that even Lagos State government had something in place, but was not as strong as what we have now.
Right. Yes.
You know, the DSVRT is stronger now than what we used to have.
Right.
And then we begin to advocate, we begin to, do advocacy, to talk about it, go on air. I've been to 117 schools in Lagos State.
Wow.
Yes. To talk to students about how to protect themselves, even though what we should be talking about in 2020 is not how about to protect ourselves from rapists. We're supposed to be living in a free environment.
Technological advancement, helping our children discover great innovation.
Right. So that's how the name came about. HeartMinders, mending the hearts. We have so many broken hearts, so many people who are not functioning well because of something that mad them when they were younger, which is never their fault.
Okay, now let me give a disclaimer to my listeners who are soft of heart. This interview session is really going to challenge your paradigm. It's really going to rock your boat. It's going to make you almost pull your hair, because this lady here, Funke, has vast experience, both personal and working with young people that have had to deal with issues bordering on sexual abuse.
Right.
Now, Funke, the space you occupy in the social sector in Nigeria and in Africa is quite unique. It's something that deals with the deepest parts of a human being's life experience.
Right.
Issues surrounding rape and sexual abuse. Why did you go into that particular space in the non-profit sector?
Yeah, it's because of my own personal experience. When I was a teenager, particularly when I was 15, it was just shortly after my 14th birthday. I was just, I just go back from school and to start with, I live in one of the environments where, permit me to say we are there.
Like middle class family?
Yes, middle class family. I lived in Chomolu area of Lagos State where, so many crimes go unnoticed. So I just got back from school that day, and one of my neighbors, whom over the years has turned to a family, comes into my apartment. My dad knows, my mom knows, everybody knows. And this guy had tricked me into following him to his friend's house, saying that he needs me to help him knock on his door, just to hear a female voice. And this is somebody that I've over the years grown to know and trusted. Somebody that my dad would ordinarily say, okay, call me this person from his room. And I didn't see anything coming. And we've lived together in the house for about 11 years before that happened. And then he had asked me to do that. And on getting to his friend's house, I never knew it was a plot for him to do what he had been planning. And before I could say anything, he pushed me into the room and, broke a bottle and asked me to pull my clothes. At first, I could mutter a few words like no, but the no could not, even I can't hear myself because the fear that enveloped me at that point in time.
For a young 14-year-old
For a young 14-year-old in a school uniform. I just got back from school and it was during my examination period. I couldn't believe it. And he broke the bottle and would stab me if I didn't pull my clothes. Was close to me and pushed me to the bed, tore my clothes into. I couldn't pick. I can see everything happening again as I'm talking about it. And then he raped me brutally. Brutally that I could barely walk. I could barely walk. And then in what looks like something that didn't want to end, he ordered me to pull my clothes on, turn clothes. I used my hand to hug my breast and ran home. I didn't know how I get into my room. I just went into the bathroom and started pouring water on myself. I was there for hours, pouring water, thinking that water could wash away my shame.
What has happened.
Yes. It was brutal. It was bad. It changed my life. This is something I dealt with for almost 26 years that I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what I was doing. I just kept living a life that had no bearing. And that was initially what, there are times when you go through some things and then you have some life experiences that wants to, cover that thing. But deep down, it was only pushed into my subconsciousness.
Right.
It wasn't that I totally forgot it. But then I moved on with my life. But then starting HeartMinders initiative made me realize it's something that was bigger than me.
Right.
Because I've taken some steps in life that I'm not so proud of. Things that I have done, steps that I've taken. Because about that time, sex was nothing to me. It wasn't, sleeping with anybody and whoever you are, once you're able to ask, you get it.
So this was like an aftermath.
It was an aftermath. It was a trauma that I had to deal with. But then it became normal. There's somehow you live a life that it becomes, it's not a big deal. It's something that I was doing and I felt, somebody took my virginity away from me and just like that. And I don't know what's there to protect again. There's nothing to protect again, and that was the life I lived for so many years. And this is the faith of so many young girls outside there who are currently living a life that they thought is normal, but it is not.
All right, now let me ask you, I'm sorry to take you back to that experience.
Right.
But let's find out what goes on in the mind of a victim. As a young girl, the moment you were accosted with that experience, first of all, this was someone who you trusted.
Right.
Someone who you probably looked up to like a big brother.
Right.
That ought to have protected you in the event that something like that happened. Yes. Can you remember, what was the first thing, the first thought, the first idea that went through your mind?
Right. Now, I'll try so hard to not use my experience over the years and the things that I have learned and where I am currently as a behavioral therapist to overshadow the things that I went through that time. I'll try hard because that time I know very well that I immediately expect that because I was a very brave child. I was very up and doing. I'm a choleric. I would talk even without being asked. I would do things without being asked. Even in school at that time, I was already acting as a senior prefect. At that age, I was acting as a senior prefect for my school. And I know that my parents are in the best position to understand the immediate turnaround. Because that particular exam that I wrote that time, I failed woefully. The only ones that I did well were the ones I wrote before that incident. But even at that, my parents only saw a girl that has changed in a space of few months. They did not try as a parent to dig deep and see. So in the mind of a victim is questions where we are asking, is nobody noticing anything? Are you not seeing the differences? Are you not noticing the changes? Can you not see that I am bruised? Can you not see that I can no longer eat? Can you not see that when I talk to you now, I no longer look into your eye? I am not the regular melancholy or the regular Samu who would not usually talk. I am that chatterbox. I am that child that doesn't keep quiet, who now doesn't talk. As a parent, are you not seeing it? Do you understand? It broke me that my parents are more particular about their Christian lives more than what a 14-year-old girl was going through. It broke me that my dad, of blessed memory, who then thought he's a disciplinarian, never saw that I am now that child who does not want to talk, who does not want to listen, who is now a rebel, who does not understand anything that is going on anymore. So for that child that is in your care right now, what are the changes you're noticing? I'm fine. So every child, every caregiver, every parent, every guardian needs to answer that question, because for every 360-degree turnaround in every child, there is a question that needs an answer. It might not be an abuse. It might not directly be an abuse, but how much attention are you paying to that word in your care? That is what is going on in every mind of every child. And that is why anytime I get any rape case, more than what we want to do with the perpetrator, of course, there should be justice. There should be everything possible to make sure there is no other victim of such person. But for that particular survivor at that time, what can we do to make sure there is no relief of Funke in another child? Another wayward young girl who would give sex to anybody. Another girl who doesn't care who sleeps with her. Because somebody had taken it by force. I mean, because in this part of the world, we protect our name so much. But I don't know, because I used to ask my dad before my dad died. I said, Dad, what is in your name? What is in your name? Who are you? I mean, in your locality, you might be somebody, a deacon, the father of so. But beyond that, who are you? Because you protected that name so much that you allowed people prey on us. How within that, you being a father and a protector and somebody that a pastor would want to listen to, in your home, who are you? Because a lot of people like their names so much. I remember one of the cases I handled, and the father was telling me, as these things that you want to do now, my sister, what about me? My name? What will people say if they hear that my daughter was raped? This is somebody, the gardener and the driver,
raped
his own child. And I asked him the same question I asked my dad. What is in your name? What does your name mean to you if your child is being sexually abused right under your nose?
I'm just going to try and control my emotion.
Right.
I'm tempted to say let's go on a musical break, but you are on a roll and I don't want to cut this momentum that is coming from you.
Right.
Now, as one whose major focus is child protection, and you talked about some of the changes. One of them you mentioned was a total turnaround from you being a congenial, obedient girl to you becoming some sort of a rebel who took umbrage to everything that your parents did or said.
Right.
What other, changes in behavior and character can we see in our children that would help parents to begin to ask questions like you said?
Okay. Aside the physical changes that you would see, because when a child who is just in cases of CSA, that's child sexual abuse, you would expect a child to go through puberty and then but the changes come faster than it should be, because then you see a 13-year-old girl or a 12-year-old girl growing so fast, and then they begin to talk about things that they usually won't talk about. Some people will withdraw into their shell, while some they will become wild.
That's what children who were previously tame.
Yes. So it will be the reverse.
Right.
Which it depends on who your child is at the moment. Is your child constantly saying, I don't want to be around so person? Or is something that the child has been doing before and does not want to do? These are things you need to look out for. Is your child the one that would ordinarily not want to do? Okay, for instance, I'll be quick to go back to experiences that I have had. There is a 2-year-old girl in the case of the school, like the case that we just won in November,
right? Where
they I wouldn't want to mention the name of the school, but because we've gotten an open apology, and then the school failed the child,
right?
But there is a parent who had chosen to teach a 2-year-old girl everything she needs to know about her body. And this girl led us straight to the predator. Just because the 2-year-old girl, who is now going to be 6 soon, was able to name every part of her body and says, this man, vagina.
Right.
This man, one person, 17 times forensic interview. This girl continually mentions the same person. If you have a child that is not like that is not that brilliant, but suddenly would name body parts without care, these are things you need to look out for. You need to look out for the child in cases in academics, in the things that they like to do that they stop doing, or the things that they don't normally want to do, but they would rather do now. So
you're saying like a sharp contrast in already established character traits of the children. That's reason for parents to start asking questions.
It is absolutely 100%. You need to start asking questions when you see such traces.
Now, we are at a time where it's almost, I don't want to be pessimistic or just be melancholic about these things, but it seems like the days we live in are becoming worse. Now, what the society is supposed to protect children.
Right.
And that's why organizations like yours, the HeartMinders initiative, is set up to augment, the efforts of government. And we know for states like the Lagos state government that has a domestic and sexual violence response team. And of course the EU in Nigeria with the whole
sexual reference centers.
Exactly. Yet a lot needs to be done. For example, the Child Protection Act. To this day, several governments have still not, signed that act into law in their states.
Yes.
So what exactly is government taking for granted to ensure, in your opinion, based on your experience, what would you say that government or society as a whole is not doing right to ensure the safety and protection of our children?
I think for first and foremost, what we are taking for granted is data. Because I believe that if we live in a society that appreciates data, we would know the massive increase, the upward increase in cases of CSA. Because right now, back in the days, there are no phones, people can't talk about the things, their experiences, and then we could say that maybe those days, those times, things were covered up. But now, just this morning in the Punch newspaper, there are cases of rape and sexual abuse all the way from Ekiti.
Wow.
Ekiti, yeah. And then somebody like me in Lagos, I am able to read about that because of internet.
Right, you have access to information.
Access to it. So because of this, I think the government is taking for granted the data that they could pull together to make sure to say that, okay, because of this upward rise, this so things need to put in place.
Right.
And then because we have youths who would rather go on Twitter and talk rather than do. Who would rather make noise rather than advocate for the right things. Because for logistic reasons, I can't stand up now and say I'm going to the north and I'll start when we have not even finished the work in Lagos.
Right.
We've not finished the work in Lagos. Thank God for Lagos State, because we are always ahead in anything we do. And the DSVLT work with people like us to say, okay, your organization, whatever you do in the first quarter, we want to see it. And then we put data together and send to Lagos government and say, based on this, for the data we have in 2019, we have said Lagos mandatorily, Lagos government now needs to have state-owned shelters.
Right.
Because we can no longer begin to keep victims or survivors of rape with child offenders. Because that's what is currently ongoing.
Right.
Even in Lagos, they keep a child that has been abused, but there's nowhere to keep them.
Right.
And we don't hand over home. They take them to Lagos Special Correctional Center, where you keep victims and child offenders, which is wrong.
Which is wrong, because those children are victims. They are actually not offenders.
They are not offenders, but you had them to offenders, and then you want to change their lives by turning them to hardened criminals. So we are saying that states need to wake up and get data and understand that the issue of rape and sexual abuse is not something that can be swept under the carpet. We cannot say because we want to cover people's shame. We don't want people to say, oh, this is happening in my state. And then we are making it become something that is festering. It's festering because it's really bad. And it's going everywhere.
Wow. Now, your organization, the HeartMinders, give and take, if we have an average of 1,000 students in the public school, that means you have dealt with over 100,000 students.
Yes. As of 2018, we have done 137,000 pupils.
Great. Now, what is the overriding experience working with these children that the HeartMinders has gotten from them, in the sense that what's the likelihood that an average Nigerian child within your sphere of operation has encountered sexual abuse?
55%. Yes, because we found out that many parents are actually erasing children rather than raising them.
Can you say that again?
Many parents, they are actually erasing children rather than raising them. We have seen children write us and say, I have been raped, but I cannot say anything. Just be praying for me. Some will say, my dad, my granddad, raped me. And they would not mince word, but they would not come out, because we would say, you can write in paper and bring to us. Because if you ask them to come out, they won't come out. So
Why? Why?
Because their self-esteem has been shattered. Because these children no longer have what it takes to come out boldly and say, this is what has happened to me. I don't blame children, even adults. During the time that I broke my story, many adults came to my DM and say, this happened to me. I am with you, but I cannot say it out. Because some would say, I didn't tell my husband from the beginning. Some would say, my parents didn't know about it. Some would say, these people are still on the altar. Some would say these people are still family members. I have one of my aunties that I loved so much on Instagram slid into my DM and said that she was raped by her uncle. And this particular uncle was the one who introduced her husband to her.
Oh my word.
Now, how will she go back now and say this happened? That she would rather swallow it. It's a bitter pill, but she would rather swallow it. So this is what I'm saying. We need to start telling parents that parenting intentionally is actually something you need to take. There is no excuse. If we want to raise children that would outlive us. Because as it is right now, the kind of children we are raising right now, the kind of broken children we have outside right now, we are going to keep mending and mending.
So it's almost a public health emergency.
It is. It is a public health emergency, and we are trying as much as possible to push data to the right people. Very recently, we had a meeting with a statistics bureau in Lagos State, and we told them that part of the things you're doing, we need you to factor us into it. We want to be sending data to you so that at the end of the year, you can release it to Lagos State government and say, not only the SVRT, we want people to be able to say, in my office space, this social sexual harassment happened. And then they will send you data. People should be comfortable to sending data to you so that you can collate. And data is the new gold. It's data that can vindicate people like us, and they won't say you're just making noise. You're one wayward girl. Because some people sent it to me and say probably the guy just wanted to have a fair share of what I was sharing.
Oh my word.
No, people said that to me. But that's the least of my worries. It's the least of my worries, because even when we were in the forefront of advocacy, we've seen people threaten us and say, you dare not come to my church and say somebody raped something. In the case of Busola Dakolo,
right?
People called. We still have the voice notes. People called to threaten us. So that is not an issue. What is an issue for us is that we want to raise a sane environment where children are not finding it difficult to live their normal life. We can't keep saying, for instance, I keep checking on my 13-year-old daughter to say, Bukolwa, how are you? I hope no one touched you. I hope this didn't happen.
And somehow that's not even safe for the child.
It is not safe for the child because it is a mixture of paranoia.
But you are just trying to be a watchful mother.
Exactly. Because I know that there is no safe space.
Right.
There is no safe space. We are the one that are creating that safe space now where people can come and speak freely about their experiences. But we don't want people to start coming and talking about their experiences. We want people to live a sane life and not come to say, so years ago, I was abused. Because that's the same thing we have when in the next 10 years, people keep coming to say, that means we are not doing anything right now.
Right.
And that is what we need to work.
And the goal is a safe environment where every child can thrive.
Every child can thrive. Every child.
Let's rest on this and go on a musical break. And when we return, the third sector continues.
We're still here.
Africa, the mother of all continents.
A land brimming with human, material, and natural resources.
Bedeviled by challenged leadership, socio-economic instability, and war.
In the midst of the chaos, there exists a group of individuals and organizations working to rewrite this narrative.
Non-profits and non-governmental organizations, bridging the gap of human existence.
Telling stories about the third sector. Right, you're welcome back to the third sector on Africa Business Radio. My name is Kemak Onyenuchea, and I have with me in the studio Funke Oguntuga. She's a child protection advocate and a consultant, as well as the executive director of HeartMinders initiative, and that's a non-profit organization working to ensure that children have safe spaces to grow and thrive, and that the menace that is child sexual abuse becomes a thing of the past. Herself being a survivor of rape. Thank you so much, Funke, for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, let's I just want to ask a question. Do rape survivors actually ever get over being raped?
That's a deep one.
Can you get to a point in life where that experience no longer has a hold on you?
Yes. You actually get to a point where you can freely talk about it, and then you can talk about it not from a point of pain, but from where you are at that particular point in time. There was a time when I would never mention it, to a time where I would talk about it and cry uncontrollably, to a time when I could talk about it. I might not cry, but I would get back inside and cry. And then I got to a point where I don't even know why I wanted to talk about it. To a point where now I know that for every time I talk about it, I know that I'm sending a message to at least one person who would understand and do the right thing. And then this comes because I have gone through the stages. I went from losing everything I have, because the time that the thing happened to me, not saying anything, being in my shell, going straight into marriage without baggage, and dealing with a lot of things. I don't like sex. I don't like, my husband, or you can't have sex with me.
Physical intimacy.
I don't like physical intimacy. And my husband does not understand. And I don't blame him. But we have to go through a particular route for him to understand. And then going to therapy afterwards. And then helping people myself now to get over it. So it means I've gone full circle. I have gone through everything. And I've been here 7 years. Wow. I have been to a point where a person was raped to death.
Wow.
I have been to a point where I saw a 12-year-old in the pool of her own blood. I had to carry the young girl in my hand running on the street asking for help, because she was paper white. She had bled out by the time I got there, but she's now ill and hurting. I have used my own hard-earned money to put people. In a safe place, and I've arrested people with my money. I've gone to court. I've gone justice. I've gone to court for several years, and we are still on it. So full circle, I have come to a place where I can say, I cannot come here now and talk for every other survivor and say, right, oh, you need, because it is a psychological issue when you forget it in the first place. You shouldn't forget your experience. When you forget your experience, you will need a clinical psychologist.
Because that's a coping mechanism.
It's a coping mechanism.
And I know the brain sometimes has selective amnesia as a coping mechanism.
So you are boxing it to a corner and you just need a trigger to bring it out. Something will bring it out someday. You can pretend for as long as you want, but it will come out someday. But now, Funke Oguntuga is in a better space because of her work and because she had released herself for therapy. Right. But for every other survivor out there who has not even broken the silence, they cannot forget it. They cannot forget it. They cannot
get over
it. I have seen someone who told me, I was raped and I don't have any problem. Why are you people having a problem?
Wow.
And I said, okay, I'm glad you don't have a problem. But the day you have a problem, please let us. Because it's okay. We cannot dig out a problem that is not there.
Right.
If you don't have a problem, it's fine. If you are living, but be sure that you don't have a problem. Because sometimes, for instance, I know someone who would drink heavily because that's when I know it was a problem for me. Because the person was saying, I would drink heavily before. I said, how do people have sex without drinking? And I had to dig in. That person was my counseling, my counselee. So I asked the person, why are you drinking? Why would you need to drink? For you? And then we had to trace it back to abuse.
Oh, wow.
We had to trace it back to abuse. So I said, you need to heal. It is okay if you are not seeing it as a problem, and indeed and in truth it is not a problem. If you are not channeling it elsewhere,
right.
If you are channeling the energy positively, it's fine. Because I know some advocates that want to nail the perpetrator to the cross. Die you must. I know the energy is coming from somewhere, but it's fine. It's fine if the energy. So it depends, because we have different ways that we react.
Different temperaments.
But I would ask anybody that has gone through this to seek help, professional help.
All right. And this brings me to my next question.
Right.
Okay, first of all, what are 3 things never to say to a victim of abuse or rape? What would you advise? Because a lot of times, now citing the issue, the one you mentioned, the Mrs. Dakolo's case, I know one resounding question that everyone kept asking, and I felt a lot irritated by that question is, why did it take her this long to say something?
Right.
I know there are some questions that, lead ultimately to victim shaming, victim blaming and shaming. Now, as a professional in this field, what would you say, or 3 questions that you would say, don't ever ask a victim or never say this to a victim? The
first question I would say is that do not ask a victim, why did you go there?
Because in a way that puts responsibility on them for what happened to them. It's embedded in our
culture. We have a culture that encourages abusers. In fact, even without an African man, without saying a word, the way they will look at you, the moment you say, I was raped, that eye that they will lift up had already told you everything you are going to encounter.
Oh my word.
There was a day, I did a training and I went somewhere and I showed government officials the web of reporting rape case. So I asked 10 officials, I asked 10 of them to stand. And then I gave them a robe. I gave the lady a robe. I said, go to DSVLT. I've already given them a label. So DSVLT, you have made your report. DSVLT will ask you if you have any NGO that is working with you. So come to me. The person come to me. Go to the police. Go to the doctor. Go back to DSVLT and get approval. Or yeah, come back to me and obtain the first witness. Yes. So go back to the police station and then go for your forensic interview. Now go to Mirabel. When you leave Mirabel, go back to DSVLT and with your report. And now we are going to court. And then we went to court like 200 times. Keep going. And they were there and none of them were weeping. I said, this is what you put us through every single day. We have a culture that says what happened. How did it happen? What were you doing there? What were you wearing? Did you drink? Did you go alone? Terrible questions. We are in that space where we think that, rape is the only crime in the world where the victim becomes the perpetrator. It is they do it successfully. I don't know how. And we have seen cases where parents had to withdraw their children and say it is enough.
Oh.
Auntie, you have tried. Let her go. They'll take them to another state. Some will send their children to grandmothers. That we have seen enough. You can't abuse my child and make
then
her
put
go
her through all this mental
You are the one.
torture.
I've told you we don't want to do this thing. You are the one encouraging us. We give them money. Give them transport money. We pay police to IPO to bring case file. We pay for motor to go and arrest. They make the situation so tedious even for us to work. So we live already in a society that encourages abusers. So what I would say to every individual out there that still have just a little bit of humanity left, do not ask a victim, what were you wearing? So tell me, how did it happen? And you did not make noise.
Oh.
You didn't talk. You didn't shout enough because I was in the living room. I did not hear. I saw a Yoruba movie and three siblings gathered and raped a young girl. And the girl came out and met the mother at the living room and said, Mommy, your children raped me. He said, 3 men, my 3 FT boys will rape you and I will not hear. I'm here in the living room, I will not hear. That is a typical African parent. That is what all of us, that is what we do. That we use our voice to rape a victim all over again.
Oh.
So the questions are so many. Do not ask those questions. The most appropriate question to ask a victim is, what can I do at this moment to help you? Mm-hmm. Because it depends on the moment you meet the person. The person might be coming to you for the first time in 10 years. And you could say, what can I do now to help you?
And of course, every individual knows the best way they feel they can be
The best thing that you can be of help is if you see something, you say something. Even if the person that is in says, I don't want to go to court, you come to people like us, make a report. We can help the person. It's not about sending some people to jail. It's about making sure there's somebody who is living right.
Rehabilitation
for the victim. That is more paramount to me. And some of my fellow advocates, they say, Funke, your own. Me, they must go to jail. I say, fine. Then don't even forget they are using our money to rehabilitate these idiots in prison. They are using taxpayers' money to feed them.
Right.
And if you go to the prison, to go to Kirikiri, you go to Ikoyi today, if they bring out perpetrators of rape, you will shiver. There are so much. They are there. They are not bringing out case file. They are not bringing them to court. But you are using taxpayers' money to feed them. And don't forget that our own judgment in this part of the world is not reformative.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not reformative. We just like to just keep them there so that they say
punitive
the prison
punishment.
Right.
All right, Funke, let's move to something else. And of course, you have touched a bit on that. In what ways can a rape survivor be helped? Because this is what you do every day.
Right.
So what are and the reason why I'm asking these questions is perhaps one or two of my listeners may encounter someone that has gone through this horrible experience and be equipped with the right knowledge, the right words, the right kind and expression of empathy to help the victim. What are some things you could say to a victim, or some ways you could empathize or try to help a victim that would begin the journey to healing for the victim?
First and foremost is a listening here. When someone comes to you, is a parent that a child comes to you, or a friend, your friend comes to you, or at the workplace, your subordinate comes to you, the first therapy you can give to this person is a listening ear. When you listen, even if in cases that are not abuse situations, you can feel it when somebody is listening to you empathetically. The person just wants to listen and understand what you're going through at that particular point in time. Give them a listening ear. And when you don't know what to do, refer to the appropriate person. Refer. I tell parents, I am still looking for that crime that my daughter, my son would commit and would come to me and say, Mommy, this thing happened to me, and I will take somebody else's side in place of my child. I've not seen. It has to be proven for you to convince me to stand against my child. So why would your child come to you and say, Uncle, something or somebody just touched me, and you will say, get inside, you this, what are you doing there? What did you do? No, you don't do that. The first thing is to listen to the person. The second thing is to refer when you cannot help. You can call when you are in Lagos or anywhere you are. I mean, Lagos is easy. Just call 166 or what the number 161. Just dial the number. Give the person hope that I can't help. Somebody somewhere might be able to help you. So that's the first thing to do, to make sure that person will not now feel that if this person is saying it to me, what would another person say? Let me keep quiet.
And that's what engenders the culture of silence.
That is it. That's what makes people keep quiet.
Now, Funke, you are doing so much with the HeartMinders initiative, and of course we have millions of listeners who would want to partner with you, support you. Well, before the show went live, I know you mentioned to me that you haven't gotten any kind of funding or sponsorship, and that's really making your work quite tedious and cumbersome.
Yes.
Now, someone may be thinking, how can I reach out to Funke and how can I get to partner with the HeartMinders initiative?
Yes.
Can you give us your numbers, your Instagram handle, social media? How do people reach out to you?
Okay, we have a 24 hours hotline that we use in receiving rape cases, but they can also reach us on that line. It's 080-9418-0000. Again, I'll take it 080-941-8000. And my personal line is 08024-300-634.
Right.
Then online we are HeartMinders NIG, that's HeartMinders Nigeria, both on WhatsApp, on Instagram and Twitter.
Right.
And then my own personal handle is Funke Oguntuga on all social media
platforms. Can you spell your personal handle? FUNKEOGUNTUGA. All right.
Oguntuga.
Thank you so much, Funke, for the great work that you do.
Thank you so much.
And I hope and I pray that you will receive more strength and the courage and the encouragement that you need.
Amen.
Thank you
so much. Thank you for having me.
It's been my pleasure having you.
It's also another form of therapy. Coming here to
talk about
it. It's so therapeutic. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So much. And to our listeners, thank you so much for being a part of the show today. Of course, you can follow us on our social media on Instagram at Africa Business Radio, the full spellings, and on Twitter, that's Africa Biz Radio. And of course, there's also my personal Instagram handle at kemak.o. That's KEMAK.o. Be a part of the conversation. Come on and let's do stuff together. Thank you so much for listening. And as I always say, till I come your way again on the next edition of The Third Sector, be good and make an impact in your society. Goodbye and God bless you.